Hello, I'm Charlotte and this is Book Balance on Books and Bargains. Today I'm here with what has become my favourite video of the month to film. I've got my coffee with me because there's quite a large pile here and I know I haven't checked. I just need to go and check what number we finished on last month. So at the end of September's video we were on -5, which I'm just going to write down here, and I'm going to try not to mess it up this month because every month I tend to find the math not to be mathing. But yes, we're on -5, so that was up from the previous month. However, it was still under 0, and my biggest goal in this project is to get my massive TBR down so that I am making sure that there are more books coming off my TBR than are going onto it. So by the end of, I think I started it in July, so by the end of June next year, as long as that number has a minus in front of it, I am winning. I would like to get it down to -50 or more. That is my overall goal, but we're splitting this up into little monthly chunks, so as long as it's a minus, I am happy. So let us first get into the books that are coming onto my TBR this month. So firstly, I'm going to count 2 books that have come onto my TBR, have come into my collection, should I say, that I have hauled, that don't count towards my TBR. And the first one is the hardback edition of Her Majesty's Royal Coven by Juno Dawson. I bought this off Depop and I should have read the description better because I thought I was getting the sprayed edges one. I'm not, but it did come with this gorgeous bookmark, so I'm not too upset. This is a book that I think I will reread and reread and reread, so I have decided to start getting books that I want to reread in hardback if they come in hardback, because then I will actually reread them without worrying about cracking the spine. I then picked up in hardback, using my Waterstones points, a book that I believe is possibly either Her Majesty's Royal Coven is favourite, and this is definitely top 10, and that was Preloved by Lauren Bravo. I just love this book. I just think that this is a proper ode to charity shops and the people that shop in them and the people that run them, and I really, really love this. So yeah, spent my Waterstones points on that. And now on to the books that do count. I bought Pages & Co, The Last Book Wanderer by Anna James. I have read and collected all of the Book Wanderer series in hardback, although one of them did go missing during the move and has never turned up, so I don't have a complete collection now, but that is beside the point. I can't really tell you much about this one other than it is the last in the Book Wanderer series. Then when I was in the airport, as I pretty much always do, I picked up 2 big airport paperbacks. I picked up Yomi Adegoke's The List and Beth O'Leary's The Wake Up Call. From TK Maxx, of all places, I picked up The Gut Stuff by Alana and Lisa Macfarlane, and this is an empowering guide to your gut and its microbes. From the Age UK shop in Leicester, I picked up The It Girl by Ruth Ware for 99p. Now this is one I'm a little bit on the fence about. Ruth Ware, have I read 2 Ruth Wares or 3? I think I've read 2. I think I read, what's it called? There's a Ruth Ware book that, okay, it's gone from my head. I'll put a picture here, but it was based on The Turn of the Key, I think it was called, and it's apparently based on a classic book. I'm not sure which. Is it The Turn of the Key? I don't know. But anyway, I really, really enjoyed that one. And then I read The Woman in Cabin 10, and I really didn't like the mental health representation. I was really put off by it. I have got In a Dark, Dark Wood on my TBR already. And then this one, because it's about a social media influencer, which is the kind of thriller that I've really kind of gone ham on the past few years, I thought when I saw it that I would pick it up and see what I think. If I read this one and don't enjoy it, I think that's going to be it for me with Ruth Ware, unless anybody tells me that there are any of her books that I should 100% read. I think I've got One by One as well on Kindle. So yeah, I bought that from the Adegoke shop. And then we get into the festive books, which is where, you know, I absolutely lose my shit. And I've already said this year, I have got too many Christmas books because there is no way that I'm going to read them all. And I literally looked through the stack of ones that I've got and tried to unhaul some. Can't do it. So anyway, I have The Christmas Appeal by Janice Hallett. We all knew that I was going to read this. I might, the day we put up our Christmas tree, sit and read this cover to cover because I think it's going to be a really quick read, and you all know that I have loved everything that Janice Hallett has written so far, including the Twyford Code, which most people hate. I obviously got That Festive Feeling by Heidi Swain. And then when I was at work one day, there were these books dropped off at my charity bookshop table. So there was Jessica Redland's Snowflakes Over the Starfish Calf and Christmas Wishes at the Chocolate Shop. And I've been told before that I will enjoy Jessica Redland. And then also Helen Rolfe's Christmas at the Waffle Shack, which I have now been told is the sequel to another book, so I'm gonna have to read the other book first. So this one I probably won't even get to this year. So if I have counted correctly, I make that up to +5 now. So then hopefully we can get that back down under -5. So I have read The Good Stuff by Alana and Lisa Macfarlane, and I really did like this book. I didn't learn a lot of new information from it for me. As you will know if you've watched my channel before, I have IBS and I've really struggled with my gut symptoms, especially over the past year, and there was nothing in here specifically that I learnt new. It just kind of, I think it was just a really easy guide if you're new to gut health, and I am going to keep this. It's one that I'm going to keep dipping into, and I'm hoping that I will learn something. I then also read and loved The Wake Up Call by Beth O'Leary. I think I gave this a 4-star. It didn't live up to my ultimate favourite Beth O'Leary, which is The No Show, but it was up there with The Switch, The Flat Share. I think The Flat Share and The No Show are 5 stars. All her others have been 4 for me, and then this fits in there. So this book, I would say, is a kind of, I wouldn't call it a Christmas book, but it does lead up in the running to Christmas, so maybe it's a good one to start off your Christmas reading. We follow, I can't remember their names, Izzy and Lucas, who are working on the front desk of this hotel that is literally falling apart, and they decide to try and make some money for the hotel by selling old things, and Izzy brings the competition between her and Lucas. They're not, it's kind of enemies to lovers in the way that he just doesn't get on with her, but she actively is like, yes, he's my worst enemy, I can't stand him. But we know from the beginning that last Christmas she sent him a note all about her feelings for him, which didn't go down too well. This book has all the community, all the heart that you could want. It was a really easygoing read. There wasn't too much in this to make me cry. And so, yeah, really enjoyed that one. I also read The Last Book Wanderer by Anna James. And like I've already said in this video, I can't really tell you much about this book because it is the 5th and final one in the series. But the series on a whole follows Tilly Pages, who is a book wanderer who can speak to characters, who can go wandering into books. And throughout the series, things have been happening. And this one is the conclusion of that. Now, I will say, I think this book was really good and finished the series off well. I gave this a 4-star. I have given the last couple of books kind of 3-star because at times I did feel like this story had been dragged out more than it needed to. I don't think there needed to be 5 books. I think everything could have been done in a trilogy and done really well. However, it is a middle grade book and I'm not the target audience for that, but that is just my opinion. I also read Death Valley by Melissa Broder. Now, if you have read any Melissa Broder books before, when I say to you that this was weird, I had no idea what was going on throughout this at times. It was inexplicably, I can't say that word, inexplicably sexual at times, but I kind of loved it. I don't know what I can say about this without giving away the stuff that happens in it. So basically, we know at the beginning that our main character is a struggling author who is trying to finish off her book, and also her dad is really unwell and in intensive care, and she's struggling to process all those things. And what more can I really say about it? It goes weird. In the words of Victoria, sounds weird, I'm in. I don't think this book will be for everyone, but if you like Melissa Broder's writing or books like Wetlands by Charlotte Roach, I think you will enjoy this one. Like I say, I did not have a clue what was going on for most of this book, but I think I enjoyed it anyway. And then a book that I wish I'd have read when I was a teenager, and that is Cupid's Revenge by Wibke Bruggeman. Now, this was kindly sent to me by Book Break a long time ago, and I've just taken forever to read it. But I love this. We are following our main character, another Tilly, who is the daughter of an actor and a musician, I think. And so is her best friend, Teddy, who lives next door. And Teddy manages to persuade her to audition for this theatre show, even though she really doesn't want to, just for the fact that he wants to get to know Catherine Cooper Bunting. Tilly is a lesbian and obviously falls for Catherine Cooper Bunting. I like this one because it was theatre and theatrical. There was a lot of representation in this one for people who were all different gender, that presented as all different genders, and there was a good group of ages in this one. Also, Tilly's granddad is living with them, who has dementia, which, you know, in my book, if that's done well, that's an extra point for me. And I just think this is the kind of book I've said a lot when I read YA sometimes, that I feel a little bit, especially when it gets to the sex scenes, like I am a parent peeking in on a teenager and I really don't need to be seeing that. But that's just because I'm not the age range for it. But yeah, really enjoyed that one, and I won't be keeping this one. It's not one that I think I will reread. It can go into better hands, but did really enjoy it. I'm very happy because that puts me back at 0, and I still have quite a pile here to get through. So that I don't forget it, the next book I want to talk about is a book that I haven't got here. I want to talk about Ghosts by Dolly Alderton. Now, I listened to this on audiobook during my commute, and this was also sent to me via NetGalley. I had been put off starting this one because a lot of people talked about it from the point of view that it was very current and modern, about how people get ghosted while using websites. But actually, the bit of this that I really enjoyed, that was a big part of the story, but I almost thought that was secondary to the more community aspect of it. So our main character, whose name has gone, is living with her father, who has been diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. And there were a few things in it that really kind of got to me as somebody that is living with my grandma with Alzheimer's. She said at one point that at what age do we change it from saying that somebody has fallen over to somebody has had a fall? And it really just got me thinking, because it's like, yeah, actually that is a good point, because I know for definite that if Nana fell over, we say Nana's had a fall, or she had a nasty fall. But that just stuck with me. And there was also another point of saying that she had to see that his brain was like a Picasso, that it was coming together and all the pieces were there, but they didn't necessarily make sense to the people looking at it. And yeah, like on the main theme of the book was her kind of dating life, and she was dating this man that she thought she was in love with, and then he ghosts her. And she also has a friend who still fully believes in love. And it also talks about how your kind of friendships change. It's very kind of London based. It's definitely along the lines of books written by Dolly Alderton herself, and also Bryony Gordon. that kind of theme of books, and yeah, I quite enjoyed it. I haven't read it that long ago though, and already in my head it's all a bit fuzzy, which makes me think that it's probably more of a kind of 3.5 star book, as in read it, enjoyed it, don't think I'd read it again, and don't think I will remember it anytime soon. So then the next book that I read was Untamed by Glennon Doyle. Now, I don't know what to say about this book because I have highlighted so much through this book. And I think, so the premise of the book is it's a kind of self-help book mixed with Glennon's story. Now, I didn't know who Glennon Doyle was, but apparently she wrote other books about being Christian and being sober and her kind of nuclear family, and then she left her husband and married a woman who is the love of her life, and she'd never felt love like it before. Now, there was a lot in this about Christianity, and it did make me think a little bit, because I am quite agnostic, and there are a few things that she said in here that did make me think, and about the difference between knowing your God and organised religion. There were, it took me quite a while to get through this one. At points I didn't feel myself drawn into it. But actually all the things that I've highlighted are little snippets that I'd like to keep. So like there's a snippet here that says, the truest, most beautiful life never promises to be an easy one. We need to let go of the lie that it's supposed to be. So yeah, I don't know if I'd recommend this. I will keep this. I will go back to it. It has got a lot of things flowing in my mind, but I didn't necessarily enjoy reading it, if that makes sense. I also read the Kamigawa Food Detectives, another one that was sent to me by Book Break. Now, again, this is about a 3-star for me. I wanted to really love this one. I thought that it was going to be 5-star, cozy vibes, food vibes, and all of that. And obviously it had a cat on the front. The cat wasn't a big enough part of the story for me. And I don't know, I switched to audiobook near the end of this one and I enjoyed it more. However, I think I do enjoy and did the cat's meowing at the window. And I'm not letting him in. I do think that Before the Coffee Gets Cold was much better than this one. However, we're following a kind of magical detective agency where people come asking for food that they remember from their past, whether it's what their mother made or a dish that meant a lot to them, and our detective recreates it in the shop. I liked the premise. Like I said, I only request books that I think I'm going to love. I don't request books so that I can talk negatively of them, but this one just didn't do it for me. I also read You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwakia Mezi, and this, I struggled to get into this one. When I first started reading it, I would read a little bit and put it in. There was nothing kind of gripping me to pick it up again, to the point that I almost DNF'd it at one point. But actually there's something about this book, the way that she writes about grief and love is beautiful. It couldn't be a 5-star for me because it didn't grip me enough to want to keep going back and picking it up. But I actually ended up reading this when we were in Slough, and I had it on my Kindle app because we were in a queue for a ride for 3 hours, me and my brother, and I read a chunk of it then. So I will say with this book, it's not one that you can kind of dip in and out of. It's one that you have to really give it the time to sit and let it sink in. But I do think it was beautifully written. I think I've given it a 4-star. And I do think I would read it again because I think I might get more from it the second time through. It's very much set in the art world, and our main character, Faye, is dealing with the fact that she is a widow, young, and just all her feelings and all the things that she has to go through. Yeah, I think that I need to read this one again to really appreciate it, so I will be keeping that one in my collection. I also read A Pocket Full of Stars by Aisha Bushby. Now this, again, a very short book that absolutely packed a punch. This is a I wouldn't know if it's a middle grade or slightly older, but this follows our main character who, what is her name? Safia, and her mom and her rarely see eye to eye, and then her mom falls ill. Now, if you need content warnings, look them up, but there are a couple that I found quite spoilery for me personally. So either look them up or feel free to come to me if there's anything that particularly would be a trigger for you. But this is a kind of magically story whereby as Safia's mom's ill, Safia falls asleep next to her mom in the hospital and starts having these dreams that she realizes aren't dreams but are actually her mum's memories, and it was just such beautifully done. And yeah, I don't think I'd read this one again. I think this can be passed on to a much better home, so that one will be leaving. I believe that we are back at -5. The number here will show you, so I think we're now on an even keel with last month, and I've still got plenty to go. So I also read I'd Rather Be Reading The Delights and Dilemmas of Reading Life by Anne Bogle. This was kindly sent to me by Joe. I love this. This is one that I will definitely reread. This got me out of a reading slump. It's just a short little book, but it's basically about how book lovers love books, and really enjoyed that. I then finally finished Why Social Media is Ruining Your Life by Catherine Ormerod, and I've been reading this for over a year because I was reading it before we moved. It got lost. I recently found it in a box of Christmas decorations. So, as you were, this book is really interesting. I don't think I fully digested everything it said. I would like to reread this one, but I think I would reread it as an audiobook next time, so I will be getting rid of my physical copy. There's a lot in here about how social media can affect your mental health and your relationships and friendships and work and all of those things, and I think anybody that has a presence on the internet should read this. It really gave me some things to take away and really made me aware of what I do on the internet and say on the internet, and yeah, it was a good read. Now, one that I read on holiday is Heatstroke by Hazel Barkworth, and I really don't know what to say about this one because I don't want to give it away, but without giving spoilers, so Laura Jane Williams, who is an author that I enjoyed her first book, but then I found her quite, I don't want to say the word problematic, but that's probably the shoe that fits in her other books. But she called this book Sexy and Provocative. Now, I don't want to tell you what's going on, but basically it's like Rachel and her daughter have never had secrets until now. Bear in mind that the daughters are 15, and the person that she goes off with, it does say on the back, Lily is somewhere she shouldn't be with someone she shouldn't be. The person is not somebody that should be off with a 15-year-old, and I just don't know how you call this book sexy and provocative. I totally get the others, utterly immersive, dark and unsettling. I was really drawn into this one. The chapters are really long, which is usually a problem for me. But then the ending let me down. And actually, I've not even read this a month ago and I can't remember pretty much anything that happened. So that will be leaving my collection, and it's not one I think I'd recommend. I then read Misogynation by Laura Bates. If you don't know who Laura Bates is, she's the author of Everyday Sexism Project, which I really loved. And again, I feel hard saying that I love this book, but it just shows you how it doesn't matter how many times people say that sexism isn't an issue. Sexism well and truly is an issue. Reading this made me think back to things that happened to me at school. Now, I would say to you, nothing bad happened, but actually I was put in some real uncomfortable positions by male teachers, let's put it that way. And it's not till now that I'm in my 30s that I'm like, these men should not be allowed to work around children. This is extracts from her time writing for, I can't remember which newspaper it is, The Guardian maybe. But yes, it's just a collection of her articles, and it was a really difficult read in places, and funny in others. Laura Straw knows how to put the humour into some of these situations, but she also knows when the humour isn't appropriate, and I will be hanging on to this book. And then the last book that I read this month was Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. I have been meaning to read this for years. I enjoyed this book. It gave me the ick. It didn't scare me as such, but I'm not generally scared by monsters. I'm more scared by like psychological thrillers. But I thought this was really cleverly done. It's done in a kind of magazine type, like IKEA magazine type book. And basically this kind of reminded me of like a Scooby-Doo for adults, in that these people stay in the store overnight, which actually as a kid was my biggest fear. I don't know if any of you remember, there was a Rugrats episode where they got locked in the toy store, and that scared me to death. So getting locked in a store is something that is scary to me. And this was graphic. If you don't like kind of body horror and things, I wouldn't pick this one up. I am hanging on to this one at the moment, but only because my husband wants to read it. So yeah, I enjoyed that one. And would I pick up more Grady Hendrix? I'm not sure. Let me know below, because I know that Grady Hendrix has mixed reviews. It's not someone that I'm rushing out thinking I have to go and read their next book, but I could be persuaded. I think that has me at -9 now, which in and of itself is a good idea, but I have also decided to unhaul some books. So I have decided to unhaul my collection of Agatha Raisin books. I really fell in love with Agatha Raisin, and I started picking these up from charity shops. But actually, the more I read, the more that I'm finding that these kind of, they're cozy mysteries, and I do love watching that on TV, but I'm finding them a bit samey. I think I read the first 5 books, and then I did take Terrible Tourist with me on holiday and said that if I hadn't read it, when we came back, they would be unhauled. So that is 10 books leaving my collection. So if I'm right, I make that -19. So pat on the back for me. I am very happy about that. Let's say that next month we want to get down to -25. I think that would be a nice round number to finish the end of November on. And yeah, how are you getting on? Are you trying to get down your TBR? If you are, let me know how you're getting on. I am eagerly awaiting updates from Olivia and Hannah, who are the inspiration behind these videos. But yeah, that is all I can say for now. Next week, I think you have a vlog coming from me, and then the week after, who knows, because I haven't filmed it yet. So hope you are all well, and until next time, look after yourselves. Bye.